law. We said we would give amnesty to a couple million people, and we said we'd secure the borders. We didn't secure the borders. The lack of trust in government, a lack of trust that the federal government would do what we said we would do. My friends, I still believe in comprehensive reform, but the message is, and I got it, I can either take a hike and say, okay, I won't have anything to do with it anymore, or I'll still try to fix it. And the way we're going to fix it, I believe, is to make sure that we secure the borders and that the American people are convinced that we do so. Then we can move on to the other parts of comprehensive reform, which I think are necessary. But the moral of the story of what we just went through, lack of trust and confidence in government, which I will restore as President of the United States, and two, Americans want to be confident that we have secured the borders before we do anything else. That's no change in my position, not at all. I support the same comprehensive approach, but I will, when I take my hand off the Bible, I'm going to say we're going to fix the borders. We're going to secure the borders. By the way, one way of doing that to convince the American people that they are secure is to have the governments of the border states affirm and certify that the borders are secure as we move. That's a thing maybe we ought to look at. Make sure that people have that kind of confidence. Finally, I'd like to talk to you about Iraq. My friends, we're going to start in the middle of September. General Petraeus is going to give his report to Congress and the American people as to what's happened in Iraq. I believe that I know pretty much what he's going to say. I've been over there as short a time ago as 4th of July. I think he's going to say that we are making significant progress in certain areas, and that's provable. I think he's going to say that the Maliki government is not acting as well as we want it to be, that they've got to be more effective. I think that he's going to say that we have al-Qaeda on the run. I think he's also going to say that the Iranians continue to export into Iraq the most lethal IEDs. They're even paying people to perform certain acts of espionage and terror in Iraq. I think he's going to say we need more cooperation from the other countries in the region, and he's right. And I think he's going to say that if this strategy is allowed to continue, we will win. We will win. And I believe that most every expert that I trust in America is going to say if you do what the Democrats want to do and that set a date for withdrawal, that there will be chaos and genocide in the region and we'll be back. Now, my friends, this is a seminal time in the history of the United States of America. I understand the frustration and anger of the American people. I was the greatest critic of the failed policy and strategy of the past, and Donald Rumsfeld is one of the worst secretaries of defense in the history of this country. That's a little straight talk. Okay? We've got this new strategy, and this strategy is working. The morale of our troops, which is they're always brave and they're always professional, but it's better because they know that they're winning. They know that they're winning. So we're going to have a great debate, my friends. And you might have heard one of the members leading Democrats yesterday said it's going to cause problems for us, Democrats. It's going to cause problems for us, Democrats, if we succeed. The majority leader of the United States Senate said the war is lost in Iraq. It's lost in the war in Iraq. The senator from New York, the chairman of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, said, quote, "We will pick up seats. We Democrats will pick up seats in the Congress as a result of this war." My friends, what the Democrats have lost sight of is that presidents don't lose wars and political parties don't lose wars, but nations lose wars. Nations lose wars, nations suffer. A few old geezers around here remember what it was like the last time we lost a war. We lost the war in Vietnam. We had a defeated military. We had riots on our aircraft carriers. We had rampant drug use. We had desertions. We had a broken military. And it took Ronald Reagan about a decade to restore our military. So yes, our National Guard is overstressed. Another failure of Rumsfeld's not to expand the Army and the Marine Corps. We are winning, and we can win, and if the Democrats and others will let us do so. Again, I understand the sorrow, the anger, the frustration that people all over this country, including in Iowa, feel about our failures in this conflict. And I know that the political pundits are saying this has really hurt McCain politically. My friends, I would much rather lose a political campaign than lose a war. So I just want to say veterans to come out and support us in this effort. We're going to ask them to turn out like maybe we've never asked them before, because they've been in war, and they know what it's like to win conflicts, and they know what it's like to lose them. I don't think we're ready to surrender. So with that, I'd like to just say thank you very much for coming. I'm very honored that you are here this morning, and I'd like to respond to any questions or comments that you might have. Thank you very much. I like your shirt.
Thank you for everything. First of all, I want to say of all the things I've heard on both sides, you are definitely one of those most straight talkers, and no one in the country can doubt that you believe what you say. So, first of all, thank you for being honest with the American people. About earmarks. So, what's the difference between an economic development project in Arizona, like irrigation for crops, and a pork barrel project? Somebody in New York City might say, "Oh, irrigation project in Arizona? Oh, you don't need that, you know." But then, you look at one of the biggest pork barrel projects, like Boston Tunnel, the Big Dig. That was a $6 billion fiasco. But even though some of it collapsed even after they built it, if they didn't build that,
I got your point. I see your point. What I'm asking for is not elimination of pork barrel projects or additional projects. I'm calling for examination, competition, and a normal process, not stuck into an appropriations bill in the middle of the night that none of us has ever seen or heard of. Do you think that even the people of Iowa would think that we need an indoor rainforest in Iowa? Do you think that we need to spend, I forgot what, $2 million for the Cowgirls Hall of Fame? Do you think we need to spend $3 million, true, $3 million to study the DNA of bears in Montana? I don't know if that's a paternity issue or a criminal issue. It's the process. If somebody wants to put in a project and scrutinize it and have it go through the normal process, fine. I may not like it, but I'll accede to the majority vote of the United States Senate and the House of Representatives and signed by the President. But when you sneak it in the middle of the night, no scrutiny, no competition, based solely on the power and influence of a member of the Appropriations Committee, then it's wrong. And I've been fighting it for 20 years. That's the difference, is the process. That's the difference. Go ahead, you can follow up. Go ahead.
Well, in addition, and I think another group of people who are responsible for hearings are those lobbyists in Washington. How do we get, besides calling and writing, which I do all the time, to get senators and congressmen to listen to the American people instead of Big Pharma, who has like 1,100 lobbyists in Washington, and I think they're determining the future of healthcare rather than what the American people do.
Well, first of all, I would agree with you about the influence of the pharmaceutical companies. The Medicare Part B Medicare prescription drug bill was, how else can you explain anything but the influence of the pharmaceutical companies when we are prohibited from importing drugs from Canada that are much cheaper? That's just nuts. There was a provision in the bill that prevented pharmaceutical companies from competing with each other for contracts to provide Medicare prescription drugs for seniors. How do you explain that? There's only one way. So you're right. But if we can, every one of these projects, every one of these provisions, if it can have open scrutiny, sunshine, transparency, and give the American people a chance to examine it, then I think you'll see a dramatically reduction. At least we would know who's responsible.